What's going on, everyone? I hope that you're all having an amazing day. Last Oasis Season 5 started around 24 hours ago, and in this video, I'm just going to be going over my first impressions on the insane amount of changes that they have made for Season 5. If this video helps you out at all, then help me out by hitting that like button, but let's go ahead and cut this plug and get right into it. To start off, I want to bring up how I've played nearly every season since the game came out, and I think that the only season that I missed was Season 3, but none of that really matters because you could nearly take all of the information that I learned up until this point and throw it out. Last Oasis has made so many changes for Season 5, but I'm not here to go over all of those changes. Rather, I just want to give you guys my first impressions on what is now Last Oasis. I am going to do this video in a pro then con format, so let's go ahead and get into it with the first pro for Season 5, which is that the PvE has been completely overhauled. There are maps that are now specifically dedicated to PvE, and the way that the AI acts and populates the maps has been changed entirely. This has actually already made a huge difference in how I've gone about playing Last Oasis, which has been spending more time actually playing the game and less time hiding from the big clans. Side by side with this pro, though, is a con, which is instead of being ganked by clans, you are now constantly being ganked by rupus. These things are absolutely ruthless, and they now throw, whether it's rocks or javelins at you, and they have insane accuracy. And those rupu hut things that you're so used to looting, yeah, well, be super careful around those because some of them are armed to the teeth with what seems to be an unnecessary amount of rupus using ballistas and scatter shots, and some of them I've even seen riding on the blue dog things. I can't for the life of me think what the blue dog things' names are, but there was a rupu riding on one. I think that what could be done here is that the rupu's ranged accuracy needs to be tuned down a bit, or maybe just taken away from them entirely. And the amount of the ballistas that are on the medium map just has to be toned down a lot because it is just wild. The second pro that I want to go over is that the schematic rework that they did, though it was super confusing at first, is slightly better than the old tablet system. You basically need to get schematics from rupus or looting things to craft anything in the game, which is kind of a pain, but it seems like once you get towards the end game, it's going to be a lot less abusive than the tablet system was. It also took me a while to figure out how the schematics even worked, because at first I thought they were blueprint style things like you have in Rust, but in actuality they are more or less an ingredient that is needed to craft basically everything. So there's these tablet schematics you can use to craft like the walker legs, but you get this like tool schematic that you can use to craft the next upgraded tool, like from the stone axe to the slightly better stone axe. I can't for the life of me think what it's called. If you have no idea what's going on with the schematic system, I'm probably just confusing you more, but the moral of the story is that the schematic system is just slightly better than the tablet system. The next con that I want to go over is more of a pro and a con, but I'm putting it in the con section because the very early game seems to suffer heavily from the fact that the game is seemingly 10 times more grindy. I have played for a good 12 hours solo now and have made very little progress. It took me absolutely ages to get a Firefly Walker just for me to stupidly take it to a medium map, which turns out I was wildly undergeared for. And then as I was working my way out of that map onto an easier map, I lost it to 12 of the blue dog things that were chasing me down, which now throw rocks. They broke the legs of my Firefly and it was absolutely devastating, and I almost quit. But I pushed forward, spent another 4 hours reestablishing myself on a different map, and have just now like 12 hours into the game, unlocked the dinghy walker. Granted, the 12 hours that I spent playing were far from smart gameplay, for a lack of a better term, and more like a sluggish struggle to adapt to the insane amount of all of the new changes. But let's move into the next pro, which is that I can definitely see myself playing this season for longer than I usually do. In part because of how grindy it is obviously going to lead to a little bit of a longer playtime, but also in part to the PvE maps and the unpacked bases, because you can't pack bases anymore. But the PvE maps and the unpacked bases basically make the whole season feel less stressful and more inviting to solo players. You can build up a base on a tile and call it your own. The sun is not going to burn it up. I'm at least super intrigued to see how this first season plays out. We'll see what happens moving on with Last Oasis, but the last con that I want to go over here is that the walker build restrictions that they make you have basically makes the random walkers that you see while you're in the game turn into more of a copy and paste format, because you are only given specific spots on each walker where you can place things. And this just really sucks, because one of my favorite parts of the other seasons was trying to figure out the best way to set up each of my walkers to where I can fit the most amount of things on them. Now, about all the variety you're gonna get is, oh, you put a scatter shot on the front of your dinghy instead of a ballista, or a chest in the middle of your dinghy instead of a fire, or oh, you upgraded your dinghy so now you have one extra chest spot. It's a strange change, to say the least, and to be honest, I was not paying attention at all during their dev blogs, so I don't even know exactly why they changed this. Let me know down in the comments if you happen to know why they made this change. Also, if you are still here, comment like made it or something so I can give you an extra shout out. But that is all of the information that I have to go over in this video. I hope you guys all have an amazing day. I'm out.